Dan Pickar here. Today I'm going to show you how to use onXhunt's aerial imagery layer. So when I'm looking at this aerial imagery, I want to be able to determine what a north face is, what a south face is, and you can pretty much do that if you spend enough time out here and then you come back to the computer and take a look. So first, let's look right here. So I know by looking at this aerial imagery that this line is a ridge line. I don't need my topo lines to be able to tell that, but I know that this line is a knife ridge basically because you have the north side here is fully timbered. North slopes, they don't get that sun beating down on them, so you have more vegetation, more brush probably. So in this part of the country in Wyoming, you have more timber growth. You know, a south face here, because there's just way less trees, you can see that dramatic line. You have that sun that just beats that slope from the south, and it's just too arid, it's too dry to have all that vegetation and the trees that a north face will. Just click our topo layer here, and there's your topo lines of the same ridge, so you can kind of get an idea how steep it is. Obviously, your elevation in your topo lines here, the bold lines are 200-foot increments, so that makes it easy. What will really help you is a hybrid map. So the same ridge, by looking at this harsh natural feature here, it looks like rock, and by analyzing the topo, that's a little peak right there. So you have a peak, and then you have lines sliding back down to the north face, and you're going down from 8,800 to 8,600, so this is just a 200-foot decline down into your next draw down here. So this tells me that this is a very small drainage, probably easy to scale one side or another in not much time. And I can probably come to a conclusion that there's a bunch of deadfall in here. I see a bunch of dead trees, and so there's probably some underbrush too, and this is probably pretty difficult to navigate through, say if I'm looking through my hunting area. You know, aerial imagery is very important when it comes to modern day scouting and modern day hunting. So when we come to the hunting aspect of this, I use this a fair amount. You can have your app open on your phone, and you can look at your aerial imagery where you're at, and you can be spotting an animal, and you can basically cross-reference to what you're looking at to on your map on your phone, and be able to pinpoint exactly where that buck bedded, exactly where that bull's working into. And it'll help you with basically locating that buck again or that bull again when you're going on a stalk. So let's say I'm here, I'm gonna add a waypoint here. This is my glassing location. So we're gonna go down to our waypoint type, and let's find glassing area. Okay, so let's save this. So let's say you're glassing on this ridge, and across the other side in your spotting scope you have a deer over here, and you're looking over at this thing, and maybe it's at the top of the ridge, it's right at a tree line, and so you can look through your spotter and see we have a tree line here, and it's at the top of the ridge, and you can type, there you go, you can hit your hybrid layer, and so it'll show you via the topo lines that this is a ridge top, this is actually a peak. And so you cross-reference that, and you're like, okay, that buck or bull is bedded right underneath that tree, and we're gonna put a pin on him. So when I go make my stalk around from the back side, I know exactly where he is. So we're gonna do a buck, there we go. So that buck's bedded right on top of that peak. So that just gives me a reference point. And then what I can even do is, okay, how far away is he? So I can measure line of sight. Okay, he's 600 yards away. That's not too big of a deal. So that'll give you an idea how long it's going to take you to maybe work up this ridge and slip around the back side and get on them. And, you know, with that real-time GPS location, you can tell exactly when you're coming up behind them, know exactly how far away you are. So if you come to, say, this meadow, and you know that buck's bedded here, or that's where you last saw him, you know from this meadow to where that buck was, it's 148 yards. You're in the zone now. Anyway, you get the idea of how crucial and how much of a tool this really is, using aerial imagery when you're out hunting. And it really is a game changer.